Geetaji, you are live now.
Okay. Good evening. This is Geeta Mallikarjunan, COO of HMA, and I take this opportunity on behalf of HMA and IDSA to welcome HMA's office bearers, In Charge President Ms. Kavita Rajesh, Joint Secretary Mr. Shankar Venkata Krishna Prasad, General Manager of IDSA, and our moderator for today's session, Mr. Chetan Bharatwaj, our eminent panelists, Mr. Vinod Agarwal, IAS retired, former Special Chief Secretary, Government of Telangana, and former Director Bhatia, Managing Director, International Marketing Corporation Private Limited, Mr. Jaideep Abichandani, Managing Director, Lyconet India Private Limited, Dr. S. Franklin John, Professor, Department of Marketing, Vignana Jyothi Institute of Management, who is presently working on consumer mind mapping and purchase patterns, and all the audience out there who are watching us live. I welcome you to today's most interesting panel discussion on a very relevant topic, consumerism in post-COVID-19 world. I request our in-charge president, Ms. Kavita Rajesh, to take this forward.
Thank you, Geeta. Thank you for a warm introduction and a very good evening to the eminent panelists, HMA and IDSA, and members, all those who are watching this live. A very good evening once again. Today's world is ruled by consumer, and it is imperative that we know the pulse of the consumer before we launch the product and services. Consumers' taste are also depends on location, culture, time of the year, well as branding and social influences. HMA and IDSA have brought this most relevant topic in today's world. And before we proceed, I would like to give a brief on HMA. Hyderabad Management Association is a 57-year-old association. It's the only management knowledge platform for the state of both the states of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh for professionals, academicians, management students to stay abreast of contemporary management practices and even shaping the professionals and its emerging challenges. Members get benefited from plethora of activities undertaken in this context. Management lecture meetings, training programs, panel discussions, seminars, conventions, quiz programs, management, faculty and student development programs, participation of HMA members to all the programs mostly free or subsidized affiliated to IMA. Hence, provide opportunity to avail their benefits to and the platform for networking with management professionals, academicians, and students. Any member under the condition of constitution can be part of management committee, contribute and learn, cooperate, having national and international interests can become IMA members and reap HMA benefits. And cooperate with regional aspirations can become HMA members and reap IMA benefits. Practicing managers directly or through their corporate startups, government, NGOs can initiate, take part in research activities with members getting preferences and rebates. Mentors, motivational speakers, trainers, etc. can be part of HMA list and reach out to its members and other free registration for HMA members. Industry readiness certificate program for students is very nominal cost, and it's one of our flagship program. We are now going to start a third batch of IPR program on 26th of this month. I would request this to institutions to take the benefit of it. We get the best of the faculties from ISB, IIM, and a very renowned industrialist share their experience on this platform. We encourage all to join our fraternity wherever you are, since there is a local management association in each state as well as city. I invite you all for today's, and this is being a last lecture series with IDSA. I would try to recall that we have done 3 prior to this. So I would just try to read those names of the lecture makers in collaboration with IDSA. We have done role of entrepreneurship in self-reliant India, contribution of women entrepreneurs towards new India, impact of COVID-19 on Indian economy and the way forward. This is the last one what we are going to have today. Thank you. And consumer in post-COVID era. Thank you all for being here, and I would request Chetan to take this forward. I would request our Joint Secretary Shankar Krishna Prasad Garu to take this forward.
Thank you very much, Madam Acting President Kavita Rajesh ji. Good evening,
Sorry,
fraternity of
Mr. Krishna Prasad,
IDSA.
you probably have to. Sir, you probably have to adjust your camera. We are not able to see you properly. You're cutting the frame.
Am I
Yeah,
okay?
it's better now.
Okay? Yeah.
It's
Thank you
better
very
now,
much.
sir. Yes, it's okay.
Madam President Kavita Rajesh ji and the fraternity of Indian Direct Selling Association and Hyderabad Management Association. It's an honor to introduce today's speakers, which of course includes starting from our moderator today, Sri Chetan Bharadwaj. I always, your name sounds so much, Chetan Bhagat, so dynamic a man. So, Ms. Chetan Bharadwaj is a public relation business development professional with 15 years of industry experience. It runs, I think, in his veins. He received his BSc honors degree in physics from Delhi University in the year 2003, after which he completed his master's of business administration. During his professional journey so far, he has handled responsibilities encompassing roles in government licensing, project acquisition, office of profit management, corporate strategy, and business development. Prior to joining IDSA, he has handled the Indian operations of several multinational organizations and also has been a key part of some globally renowned Indian companies. Born and brought up in Delhi, he stays in a joint family, a very rarity nowadays anyway. He believes that a 360-degree approach is required for any organization to grow. Needless to say, now he is the general manager of Indian Direct Selling Association. It's a great honor to introduce Sri Chetan Bharadwaj. I would now go over to the next speaker, Venerable Sri Vinod K. Agarwal ji. He is retired in February 2017 from the Indian Administrative Service. Since 1983, has been in Telangana in the cadre of Special Chief Secretary to Government of India. He carries with him a varied experience of handling diverse subjects in the government of Andhra Pradesh, like land administration, registration stamps, industrial development, excise administration, tribal welfare, education, cooperation marketing, industries, taxation, district administration, etc. An array of services that he has been performing. His last posting was Director General, Dr. MCR HRD Institute, that Dr. Marie Channa Reddy Institute of HRD, and a Special Chief Secretary to Government of Telangana. Considered an expert in turning around Sikh organizations, he has been credited with breaking new life into many an organization, department like Markfed, Board of Intermediate Education, Survey and Land Records Department, ITDAs, and MCR HRD Institute itself. And Bhu Bharati, the land titling project of Andhra Pradesh, first in India, was his brainchild as Commissioner, Survey, Settlement and Records. He championed the project since its inception through designing, planning, and implementation. He has also been advising the Government of India and a few state governments in designing, launching, and implementing similar land administration projects throughout the country. He was sent to Madagascar as an expert of the Government of India to assist the farmer in their land records modernization and project. He chaired an expert committee appointed by the Government of India to suggest the roadmap for land titling in India. He also acted as a technical consultant to the World Bank's Land Governance Assessment Framework. He is also on the task force of the Niti Aayog on land titling and assisted Government of India in drafting a model law for land titling. Currently, he is also an honorary advisor to the Administrative Staff College of India, famously known as ASCII CMLA RR. Sri Vinod K. Agarwal carries a master's degree in business administration and bachelor's in commerce, besides Hindi Vidwan degree as his formal educational qualifications. He has varied interest in different fields, a widely traveled person. He is engaged with quite a few philanthropic organizations and intellectual groups. He is a poet of some repute in Hindi and Urdu. We have a shair with us. He has also transecrated a few Telugu poems in Hindi. That's a great way. He holds to his credit quite a few awards in photography and dramatics. He is also an avid golfer. He is recipient of many encomiums in working life. he was awarded Uttam Seva Patakam by Government of Andhra Pradesh for doing exemplary work in organizing relief. He got awarded Outstanding Young Indian Award by Indian Junior Chamber. He is also a recipient of Geospatial Man of the Year Award for use of geospatial technology. Thank you very much, sir. Welcome to this panel discussion. We have a very gem of a person amongst us in the shape of Sri Vinod K. Agarwal ji. Now I just go on to the last profile from the HMA side. Dr. S. Franklin John. He is a professor, Department of Marketing, Vignana Jyothi Institute of Management. Has corporate and academic work experience of 20 years. His areas of research are consumer decision making, advertisement and consumer preferences, and branding and retail management as well. Have published 50 research papers of international repute. Presently working on consumer mind mapping and purchase patterns. What a great array of speakers that we have here. Thank you very much, sir. For all of you, welcome to this panel discussion. I would now hand it over to Sri Abhishek Kumarji for introducing the rest of the speakers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Namaskar, Vinod ji, John Saab, Prasad sir, Geeta ji, Kavita ji. Thrilled to be a part of this webinar. Our association with the Hyderabad Management Association goes back to 2019, where we had started our dialogue, and we've conducted a few events with HMA. And we remain thankful to Kavita ji and everyone in HMA for being so warm and so for being always being welcome to the ideas that we come up with them, and we have been able to deliver webinars and conferences which have been able to get the right messaging about the business activities. I'd like to, before I start introducing the panelists that we have from IDSA, I'd like to give a little background about IDSA. So, incorporated in 1996, the Indian Direct Selling Association, IDSA as we call it, is an autonomous self-regulatory body for direct selling industry in India. The association acts as an interface between the industry and policy-making bodies of government, facilitating the cause of direct selling industry in India. For the last 25 years, IDSA has been championing the cause of direct selling in India. We have represented the industry at multiple platforms, voicing the opinion and striving to create a niche for direct selling industry. IDSA has successfully indulged in dialogue with various stakeholders, including central and state governments, discussing and deliberating on issues and concerns related to direct selling. Over the last few years, IDSA has made efforts to align with various stakeholders like the media, industry bodies, consumer policy experts, other advocacy bodies, and the academia to mobilize the apt messaging about the direct selling business model. Most of the associations have yielded wonderful results as IDSA's efforts have gone from strength to strength. We have two wonderful people from the direct selling industry with us as IDSA panelists. To begin with, I would like to introduce Mr. Jaideep Abichandini, Managing Director, Lyconet India Private Limited. Welcome, Jaideep.
You want me to speak something right now?
Yeah. Hi. Jaideep has 21 years of work experience in financial services, direct selling, and B2B sales. In his experience, he cherishes his working in Citibank and Tupperware, where he learned the art of negotiation, leadership, consumer behavior, and compassion as elements important for a growth in career. He has spearheaded business plans.
Sorry to intervene. Mr. Jaideep, there seems to be some issue with your camera. We are not able to see your video. Your audio is fine. The video is not there, sir. So if you could just have a relook at it. Yeah, please continue.
My net's. I don't know what to do.
Mr. Jaideep, probably you can try disconnecting and then joining again using the link. Sometimes
Sure,
that works. Right, thank you.
I will do that.
While these technical glitches keep happening, and I've been living in a world where these things have become a part of our lives. while we will make the introduction of Jaideep, in the meanwhile, I would like to welcome our second guest from IDSA, a young and exuberant leader from a direct selling company called International Marketing Corporation. We have with us Mr. Satyan Bhatia, Managing Director of International Marketing Corporation Private Limited. Satyan ji, namaskar.
नमस्कार जी, कैसे हैं आप?
एकदम बढ़िया. Satyan
नमस्कार
Bhatia
जी.
is Satyan Bhatia is one of the young and energetic leaders in direct selling who infuses exuberance in business. With a distinctive outlook, peculiar vision, and incomparable style of working, he is executing the company as a managing director. An MBA by qualification, Satyan also attained knowledge of invaluable Indian heritage of Ayurveda from his father, Dr. Ashok Bhatia, which resulted in incorporation of International Marketing Corporation in 2007. Satyan specializes in carving out smart and out-of-the-box strategies and successful implementation of the same. His quest for research has resulted into as many as 400 natural, organic, herbal, and Ayurvedic products which are widely accepted as health-friendly. His varied qualities of leadership, broad vision, ability to motivate, proper delegation of work, skillful presentation, planning, and forecasting, together in-depth knowledge of market, timely decision making, and solving the complex issues are significant key factors for the growth of IMC. In a short period of time, IMC has become one of the market leaders in the Indian direct selling industry. Satyanji, I once again welcome you. I would go back to welcoming Mr. Jaideep Abichandani. Jaideep, now the camera is fine. We can see you. I'd also request you to kindly unmute yourself so that I can speak a few words about you.
Yeah, keep it short as the way it is. I like it to be. No
So
point.
Jaideep happens to be the managing director of Lyconet India Private Limited. He has 21 years of work experience in the financial services, direct selling, and B2B sales. In his experience, he cherishes his working in Citibank and Tupperware, where he has learned the art of negotiation, leadership, consumer behavior, and compassion as elements important for a growth in career. He has spearheaded business plans and drive revenue, market share, and brand visibility, strengthen market presence by proliferating sales and distribution. His strength lies in leadership skills, business acumen, and data analytics-driven approach to the decision making. I once again welcome Jaideep Sahab and Satyan Sahab, along with Vinod Sahab and Dr. John Sahab for this and the other speakers in this webinar.
Right. Thank you so much, Abhishek, for introducing all the panelists to our audience. And I could see that a big number of people have already logged into different channels where this webcast is being transmitted live. So let's all quickly begin with the today's session. So first of all, I would like to begin this session by giving my deepest condolences to all friends and family of Shri Sanjay Kapoorji, President of HMA. And the news honestly came as a big shock to all of us. So I would request everyone to kindly mute themselves to avoid some disturbances. So as I was telling, the sudden demise of Sanjay ji came as a big shock to all of us, and I still remember his enthusiastic participation in the previous sessions of this series of webinars that IDS and HMA together are organizing. And I'm really out of words, and I could only say that COVID has taken away so many of our friends and relatives whom we'll always cherish in our memories. So let's just pray to Almighty to give strength to Sanjay ji's family, and let's just pray that God bring this dark period to an end as soon as possible. So with these words, let's start today's session. And as you know, the topic itself says consumerism in post-COVID-19 era. So it becomes pertinent to first understand what exactly is the meaning of consumerism. So consumerism ironically has two different meanings. One from the consumer point of view and one from the business point of view. And these two meanings are actually completely drastic in nature to each other. Now, from the consumer point of view, consumerism means the protection or promotion of the interest of consumers. So, which is a very rosy definition in a rosy world. Coming on to the business point of view, consumerism becomes an idea that says increasing the consumption of goods and services purchased in market is always a desirable goal. Further, it says that a person's well-being and happiness depends fundamentally on obtaining consumer goods and material possessions. So, in short, while the consumer point of view of the term consumer talks about consumer interest and consumer rights and protecting them, the business point of view says an increasing consumption of goods is economically desirable. So, there are two different drastically opposite meanings to this term. Now, why we need to discuss the impact of COVID-19 on the post COVID-19 world on consumerism? The COVID-19 and the lockdowns basically have affected consumers and their buying behaviors mainly because of two reasons. Now, first was, of course, the markets were closed by the government mandated lockdowns, and thus consumers were forced to stay indoors. Second, and a more significant aspect which emerges, that consumers have now started to stay home, or they have decided to stay home because they feel that's the right thing to do. And this is what is dangerous for the businesses or for the economy. So, for example, look at cinemas. The government has allowed cinemas to open, but still you see people are not going to theaters to watch movies. They themselves are refraining themselves from doing that. So this could also be because of job losses, which unfortunately many people have to face. They have to cut down on their non-essential expenditure. Now, cutting down on non-essential expenditure is the perfect strategy from the philosophical point of it, but it spells disaster for the economy. So the first question that emerges is: are we heading towards an era where we will have what is known as a responsible consumer who will question his every purchase decision, whether I need this product or not, whether I should cut down on this expense or not? Now, while a responsible consumer is good for the society, however, again, economy will not accept a responsible consumer every single time. So this is not the end of the story, mind you. A trouble to people associated with those engaged in non-essential sector will eventually spill over to those engaged in the essential sector as well. So are we entering into a vicious cycle where a slowdown in one sector is going to lead to slowdown in another sector, and this is how the cycle will continue? On the other hand, advanced economies or the grown-up economies like USA and China, they are now witnessing what we know as revenge shopping. So people are taking revenge, against the pandemic that has taken 1 year away from them, and people are going out in big numbers to buy luxury products and everything, which is good thing for the economy. So are we going to see a similar phenomenon in India? So there are many questions like this around the consumer theme, and we have an excellent panel today to answer all such questions only. So let me just quickly begin by the first question. So COVID, we all know, has virtually impacted every aspect of our life, how selling and purchasing takes place. So existing social norms have completely changed, and thus it becomes logical to say that behaviors of the consumer have changed or will get changed in future. So I would be first interested in knowing from our panelists, what do they think a consumer will demand or expect from sellers in future? And the situation which is currently right now, is it going to be permanent? Or do you think once this whole COVID situation gets over, we will be back to the pre-COVID times? So I would like to start first with Vinod ji. He has been a part of government for a big time. Sir, your insights on this issue?
Actually, though I hold an MBA degree, but that was quite some time back when I read about marketing and selling and consumer behavior and all. HGMA, I should say, is not a new organization for me. I've been associated with it for quite some time. Your president for a long time, Mr. Ramesh, was because Ramesh is a good friend and my senior in the college when I was doing my MBA there. Anyway, now this coming to this topic, when I was proposed to me, I agreed because this is something a little different from what I have been talking and listening to all along in the government for so many decades, almost 4 decades in that. What I will say here now will be mostly depending upon my personal observations rather than any deep study of the subject from any academician or something. Having said that, I should mention that this we all know that this pandemic is something which none of us have ever seen in our lives. So this is a new thing which our generation has seen. A generation before us also has not seen. The last time that some such a situation was seen was about 100 years ago, and that none of those people are alive. And even then, the situation was very different. The economy was different. The level of technology was different. The consumer pattern was different. The economy was different, and the interaction of also the dissemination level also was very different. So we have nothing, no data to compare what has happened earlier and what will happen to predict in future. We can only go by observing the human behavior from different economies. That how does it go? We have no reference point to say that what will happen after the post-pandemic and not. To predict it or try to see that how will consumer behave after the pandemic situation, we can only depend upon some psychological observations or the consumer characteristics of particular geographical entities and cultural entities. Like what we have seen in China and other places, there's some revenge shopping or revenge consumerism, that whatever is pandemic has prevented them from doing, they're like. The other day I was talking to a friend of mine in America who says that all flights are full there now, that's open. And the prices on the flights are almost 3 times what is a normal place. As where the people are going, all the people are locked up in such a long time in houses, and they're just going out and shopping, and they're just going out roaming around. So this sort of behavior we are not seeing in other countries which we have opened up, which we have crossed the country. Like European countries, we are not seeing such sort of behavior. So these are two distinct cultures we have. And where we stand in India, we have to see ourselves. We have a short period of time between the first wave and the second wave, when locking was unlocked. But whereas the lockdown was done, it was unlocked. And the behavior, whatever we saw of the people, that can perhaps be extrapolated to predict what will happen after the pandemic is over. We saw some sort of a people coming out, going out, but we did not see any sort of this revengeful behavior from the consumers, that I did not see the movies for 6 months, so therefore I will go to more movies, 3 movies, 2 movies a day, or 2 movies a day. Or even going out for restaurants, going out for gatherings, even marriages. That sort of behavior we did not see in this period of time. The people dropped their inhibitions, they dropped their precautions, and that's why we invited the second pandemic. So maybe observing this, we can safely presume that this sort of a revengeful consumption may not be there so much in India, maybe except for a few pockets here and there. It may not be there, the mainstream consumer, the behavior of the consumer here. But I should agree with Mr. Chetan, what he has said earlier. Consumption pattern has changed. This pandemic has taught so many things to people and to everybody. Things like masks, hand sanitizers, social distancing, all these words we had never heard. We used to see masks only on the faces of the doctors and the surgeons in the hospitals. We never knew that we will be one day using these things and going around with them. Now, leaving the houses and using all this product has taught us certain things. And this, whatever we have learned during the pandemic, will continue to be guiding, will remain in our subconscious and continue to be guiding our conscious behavior subsequently. So this we have to take care of when we are trying to assess what is consumer behavior. How long this memory will remain is a moot question. We do not know, because finally time is a big healer and everybody forgets the things. But how long this experience, this memories and the learnings of this pandemic which we have learned will remain, we do not know. My gut feeling is that in India, maybe this learning will remain. We do not know how long pandemic lasts, first of all. Whether there will be a third wave, if the third wave is there, how long it will last, how serious it will be, and what will be after that, will there be a fourth wave or not, we do not know it today. So talking about what will happen after the pandemic is a little premature today, but still thinking that the pandemic will not be there 6 months hereafter. At least 6 months we know that some effect of pandemic will certainly be there. Now let us presume that by December 2021 or by year end, we will forget about pandemic. There will be no situation, everything will become normalized. In that condition, we have to see that how long will the memory of this experience we have seen for last 1.5 almost 2 years will remain. Certain part of this memory will last to maybe certainly to the medium. It will not that immediately after everything be wiped off and people will start behaving what they were behaving in 2019. No, that will not happen. General public will certainly learn some things, and whatever things we have started learn these things, this whole things will be guiding our future behavior for at least for 3-4 years to come. we'll have to take care of that. Other observation, I'll keep it for the next questions which arrives. But before that, one important aspect I should mention to you. In this whole exercise, in the whole experience in all over the world, not in India, China has come out to be a big villain. The anti-Chinese feeling has developed in all countries and more so in India, which is not so much prominently noticed all over the world, prominently not noticed so far all over the world, but shortly, when all the investigation, all these probes about the Wuhan thing is over, then a lot of anti-China feeling will develop very fast, and more so in India because of our experience of Doklam and other things. And this will reflect in the people consuming or trying to buy or not trying to buy the Chinese goods. This will have to take factor. And the companies which are producing for consumers will have to factor for this and plan their strategies, plan their fucking in future, keeping China aside. So they will have to, wherever they are totally dependent upon outsourcing from Chinese, will have to look elsewhere for outsourcing product or maybe developing their own personal strategies. For the time being, I'll stop here, and maybe when we come for next round, I'll talk to a little more about other things. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. And that was a very balanced answer. Actually, you touched upon virtually every aspect of the question in your short address. Moving on, I would now like to request or rather take a perspective from somebody who has running a company, who has been instrumental in making his venture a big one in the recent year, Mr. Satyan Bhatia. So, Mr. Satyan Bhatia, probably Vinodji was of the opinion that it is difficult to say what will happen. But as a businessman, I'm sure you must have made some projections or some modeling, and you must be getting your company ready from now on. So, we'd like to have your opinion on the question, sir.
Yeah, first of all, good evening to everyone, especially HMA team and IDSA team for this beautiful webinar they have organized. And in my opinion, this pandemic, till the time it remains, the consumers are going to demand a good, optimized online experience. Now today, everyone, all the customers have been socializing, exercising, learning, working, and shopping online. Everyone is online these days, and everyone wants to buy things sitting at home because they don't want to go to malls, they don't want to go to shops. And because of the lockdowns everywhere, everything is shut down. And even if it is open, they are open for a few hours. So a very good experience, an online experience, has to be maintained by all the companies. There has been research that 88% of the customers, they don't go back to the website if they don't like the website and the website is not secure. So we have to see, this is a big challenge for all the companies, that they should have an optimized and updated website all the time, which is very easy to search, easy to work on, and it should be filled with very good customer experience. So as a company, what we are doing now, it has been a very big challenge for us because technology has to be used when these kind of pandemic happens. So we have been investing our money on the softwares, on the websites, on the applications, so that we can reach to associates, reach to distributors who are there in villages also. And also there is a very important factor we are also struggling on, that is that a better communication with all the distributors. Now, because there is no touch and feel factor in the market. Earlier, the consumer used to go to the mall, they used to buy the product, they can pick the product, they can feel the product, they can use the product. Since everyone is sitting at home, so now the experience is different. So we have to come up with a very big, video content of all the products to explain them what exactly the product is gonna look like, how the product is gonna be, how you're gonna feel about it, and what benefits you'll get out of the product. So that is only possible with a strong video content. So we are coming up with so many videos and educational videos and knowledgeable videos on the product, so that the customer should just watch them and buy the products from us. And third, which is again a very important factor, that even in lockdown, in the early days, I remember last April, May, June, July, even the courier companies were unable to provide the services that time. So a company with a strong distribution network, a very strong distribution channel, will only survive in this pandemics. But yes, this pandemic is for a little while. It will go away. We have to think positive. We have to think about future. And this pandemic is going to go away probably another 1 or 2 years. We all going to get vaccinated, and that's the only solution, I guess. And people are. I like the term revenge shopping. So I'm going to use that in my company now and motivate people to take all the revenge from the company and shop more as much as they can shop. And yes, it is happening. Revenge shopping is happening. People are coming out. Now you can see people going. They're traveling. They're going to malls and they're buying more than they wanted to buy. So it's going to happen. So I think pandemic will had a impact on the sales. Only the essential items and only the products which were actually required for a consumer, like personal care or supplements or home care, they were being sold more. But products like perfumes, accessories, skincare, clothing, they had a dip in their sales because these are all lifestyle products. So now I think another 2 or 3 years will come back to a normal life, and I think the consumer, because nowadays the buying power is a little less, but I think the things when the things start getting opening and again the market is normal, so again we'll have the consumer outside and they will want to buy the products again. So I totally am very positive about it that next 2 to 3 years, the moment the pandemic goes away, the normal life is going to come back.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Satyaji. And it's great to know that you have prepared yourself for the life after pandemic. While on one hand we are not able to envisage an end to the pandemic as of now, but in your response you stressed upon the importance of online. So taking it from there, let me quickly invite Jaideep ji. Because Satyan ji talked about importance of online and how important it would be for companies to go online. And Jaideep ji, if I'm not wrong, you present an organization that has online activities at its core, base of things. So it would be interesting to see your viewpoint here. So over to you, Jaideep ji.
What Mr. Vinod said in the beginning and also what Satyan is saying, I think the consumerism is going to take a different shape. And it is already evident in the way people are shopping nowadays. Interestingly, I had to also prepare for this subject because I was very focused in the work that we were doing, and our work is everything happens online. Why? Because we are a services mainly. We have a very small portfolio of product, and our company always believed in online method of connecting with people. We used to have physical meetings, but we were always encouraged to switch to online. Why? Because it is way cost effective, and B, it's also very productive. Why it is productive is because there's a lot of time that you save on your travel, and you are able to organize a lot of meetings in one day. So your average productivity per day used to be very high. So interestingly, what happened is that we were already having our online setup where we used to interact with our Salesforce distributors online. But it was always a mindset issue where we used to feel, yaar, jab tak physical meeting nahi hogi to kya maza aayega? Because it is over the years, pandemic is teaching us a new method. It was never there before. We also always used to feel convenient, jaake meeting kar lete hain, than actually video call pe koi meeting nahi hoti. Always used to think that. But then that's changing. And seconding Satyan's point, and what I would say now the companies need to do, especially when it is relating to direct selling, is there a lot of education content, like for example, the product videos, also about how to sell. Each organization, the how to sell. Before even that, I think we used to train people on the etiquettes of selling. There is also needs to be for the etiquettes of how to do an online meeting. बहुत जरूरी है, because people are that transition from the physical meeting to the online meeting, at least the sales force is not able to get it. And that is also leading to, while already who is there in the business is able to do it because they already have a lineage. But what about new people? What about people who are wanting to join in 50 plus category, which is generally the people who used to find the alternate professions? The young age will not find it difficult, but they also do not stick on long. So the entire consumerism mindset is changing for all the parties which are there in the ecosystem. And it is important that at every given point of time, each stakeholder should understand the necessity. And the second part is the online behavior from the person who's buying, from the mediator and the person who's selling. It is very important to have your strategy synchronized more towards the online method of communication than an offline method of communication. What is the difference between online and offline method of communication is what you are telling to the person. Whatever you are speaking, you cannot write it on the screen and you can communicate. You will not be able to effectively communicate. So your strategy and your content and your education with respect to the online has to dramatically change. You have to stop thinking from the mindset of ki ye training already hai, let's put it online. It is never going to work. You have to rechange and reposition a lot of things from a consumer mindset, from a distributor mindset, from the mindset of even the person who's executing it and yourself. So these are 4 layers what I can identify. There are many which are there. वो online आएगा कैसे? How will it happen? So I agree to Satyan's point. Clearly, your website should be like a mall, right? If you have plethora of products, it should be like a supermarket. How do you make your online or your website like a supermarket? Because a supermarket layout is in such a manner that is designed and done not by normal professionals, but there is the supermarket model that we have. Similarly, do we have it in online? Yes. But do you think only listing product on the website would be good enough? No. You have to do a lot of engineering and thought in how the product should be laid out, what should come as first communication, because the first page itself would be a deal breaker for you. Will the person continue on the site or will leave? Because it is less than 6 seconds the person stays online for any information which is coming, whether it is Instagram, Facebook, your website, any of the online channels, unless the person is specifically looking for something. So very, very important to do the study of the consumer in the online space. While less than 2% of our population actually does online shopping. And we are assuming that a lot of people who are doing offline shopping will come and graduate here. Yes, they will. But will they really do it for non-essential items? Like we have seen the dip in all the apparel, lifestyle products, but only an increase in the nutraceutical products or essential items like grocery and all. Why it is so? Because that's a need, that's the necessity. So I would say all the companies, all the people who are there as stakeholders when they are making their strategy, very, very important to understand the online behavior. The online behavior of the consumer would be different. The online behavior of the seller would be different. So when you are differentiating both, like in our case, the trainers, when they do the training, online training to the people, now the training is not one training, it is divided into 6 different trainings, because the span of attention of the person there cannot be hold more than 20 minutes. Now, can I give the entire content download to the person in one training? While it is a wishful thinking, I can't. I will have to break it up into 2-3 modules. And then what is the method of engaging? So the incentivizing, reason for coming back, and also success, early success stories are something critical at the beginning only to keep people hold on the platform. Now you would see a leaking bucket thing here also, larger than what is there in a physical, but then you have to live with it. What you have to do is keep evolving, have a weekly calendar, and start the uniformity of your communication on all the platforms, because online is all about uniformity. Physical still can have non-standardization methods of presenting,
Right.
but it is important to have uniformity when you are online on it. That's my key things. Something about the consumer we will talk. It's a large shift in the consumer mindset, especially for India. And in my opinion, the revengeful shopping is not going to happen in India. And if it will occur only when there is safety, when people will perceiving that stepping out is easy, while people are still doing a jam on highways for when the things got opened up is one aspect which shows that have people gone crazy. But it was only a very small portion of people who were out. If you really realize how many people were inside, and the the first sector which is got affected and the first sector which will get which benefit will be the travel sector. Now, the revengeful shopping will happen first in the travel sector. If we see an upsurge in the travel sector, you can believe all the other sectors would come, because Indians, you know very well how we are. We like to splurge, spend in, if it is a lifestyle or non-style, सबको छुट्टी बहुत पसंद है, vacation सबको करनी होती है, ठीक है, and more so because we are a large young population also. So you see a surge in travel. You can think that yes, things are going to look up, but yes, we have to use our minds. Where is the COVID situation at this point of time? We have to be very mindful of it and not write off the COVID right now at all. So
yeah, wonderful, sir. So moving on, sir, we have got the perspective of somebody who has been a part of the government for long. We have got the perspective of two young businessmen. We also have one teacher with us, one professor with us, and as they say, teacher is like a candle; it consumes itself to light the way for others. So, Dr. John, take us from darkness to light. Throw some insights on the issue. Are these changes permanent now, or do you think situation will be back to what it was pre-COVID time, sir?
Good evening, and let me thank HMA and IDSA for giving me this opportunity. When you see the customer shift or purchase shift, most of the times marketers and researchers will induce the shift. But this time, unfortunately, nature has induced the shift in the form of COVID. So the consumer shift is a natural process. We, for example, we take, we were using detergent cakes to wash our clothes. From there, we brought them to now detergent liquids. And we said that more foams will make the clothes much better. Then suddenly one point we said that don't use more foam detergents, use less foam detergents so that you can save water. So all these times the marketers and advertisers were forcing the consumers to decide what the shift they should do. But now, unfortunately, the nature has taken its own call, and nature is educating the consumers where to spend or not to spend. Again, if you see the difference between the first lockdown and second lockdown, the first lockdown, tourism sector and the hospital sector was the great hit sectors. Hospitals has postponed the operations. Doctors were thinking that what should we do? No surgery was happening. Government was so strict on the hospital sector not to do the unnecessary surgeons. But now, the second lockdown, the hospital sector has picked up, but the travel sector has not picked up. As the earlier speaker said, that is one indicator. If the travel sector improves, all other relative sectors will start improving. But when you see, again, the data is not still out, but we can see a huge demand rise in vitamin tablet sales. C vitamin is out of stock, D vitamin is out of stock, Zinco is out of stock. See, selling is happening, sales is happening, but it is not happening in the way we thought or we think it should happen. It is happening in a different format. Again, you just tell me which household is not having a oxy pulse meter now. Who has not even known about what is oxy pulse meter, how to use it? They consumed and they bought it in the keeping the home. Until before pandemic, when I used to do consumer research, I take adults as my sample. But past 3 years, what I'm taking, I'm doing my research with kids who are going to school, because they are going to be the future purchase decision makers because of the online purchases, because of the app purchases. For example, last Sunday in Hyderabad, especially in the area where I'm living, afternoon lunch was sold out. No Swiggy and Zomato was having any service because the hotels are sold out of the food items. So things are happening, but it is happening in a different form. If you ask me, is this is going to be a permanent change? No, because that is where we have a very strong marketing team across the globe and in India also. We will re-educate our consumers. Again, when you had the issue about pesticides in the cool drinks, we said that the market will surge. Yes, the surge was there. Small deviations were there. Again, we re-educated the customers. We brought them back to the normality. As all of us know, we have a very strong middle income group who are not spending now. They are holding their spends.
So once this pandemic is over, or the lockdown is eased, or when you see a positive sign of coming out of this economic recession, and if you see RBI data, it will be a little scary because the deposits are coming down. When you see it closely, deposits are coming down, they're withdrawing the money and they're keeping the money in their hand. They don't have confidence in the banks. Same way, when you see the data of gold price is increasing, gold sales is happening, that is increasing. So deposits are happening in a cross-sectional base. Again, your stock market is continuously increasing. Deposits are happening in stock market. So the market sentiments are strong, especially India is concerned. Market sentiments are very strong, and the society which we are, our communal society, we are holding hands of each other very strongly. Though there are small deviations will happen, but still we are economically, we are very strong society, emotionally we are strong society. That will help us to come out of this pandemic with a very strong. And again, the purchases will happen, but there will be a difference will be there. The purchases will be based on value purchases, not brand purchases. The people who are buying a branded product will think whether I should go for a brand product or I should go for a value product. So that is where the consumerism is taking a recall, whether I'm going for a purchase of panic buying, or I'm going for a buying which is making me to impulse buy. So impulse buying will get stopped for a little while. The panic buy will continue. After certain times, when the normality comes back, maybe after 2 years or 2.5 years, situations will become normal. Again, our social media is dominating very much than the normal media. That is the reason there is a surge. If that media, because in the social media problem, no, lot of unwanted information is coming, unauthenticated information coming. So that is creating an unnecessary panic. Once things normalized, these informations will be filtered. People will take a rational call. When that start coming, I hope, strongly believe that, as per, again, if you see yesterday's or Modi ji's introduction of making toys Indian owned toys, that is a very good initiative. What we are going to do in a balance of trade, we want to make buy Indian, be Indian. So that sentiment is also coming very strongly. So we as the economy will bounce back, and we will show the world again that India is a different economy. India is having a different sentiments. We'll strong together, stay together, and we'll win this situation very strongly.
Thank you so much, and it's really good to listen to such encouraging words coming from a teacher, sir. And so two things that appears to have formed a consensus from all the answers that we have received is, first, yes, online is going to be playing a big role in future, but as much as companies need to work hard or to graduate themselves to that level, even our consumers are need to graduate themselves to using the online methods. And yes, the second consensus that appears to have emerged is that the post-pandemic India, we can hope to have the glimpse or the same India or the same Indian market that we had before pandemic started affecting all of us. So now I've got two questions. So one is a business-centric question that I'm going to raise to our two representatives from the industry, and will be asking for a short comment from Dr. John and Vinod ji, and then one generic economic question, which I'll be asking to Vinod ji and Dr. John, and I'll be asking our industry representatives for a short comment. So first, I would like to ask from Satyan ji. So Dr. John also in his reply touched upon this, that certain product categories, like he mentioned, vitamin C, D, so the products, they increase their sales. So this is what we have actually seen also. There was a sudden increase in the demand of certain category of products, while other categories, they registered a decline. So can we assume that this change in buying patterns is going to be permanent, or just as this shift was overnight? Do you think the reversal will also be overnight, or the change that has taken place will be here permanently? So Satyanji, your comment on that.
To my surprise, last year, our sanitizers, our hand washes, and our fruit and vegetable wash, all these products which people were afraid of because of COVID, and they wanted to use sanitizers and hand washes. So the sale was drastically up. and we apparently we started manufacturing them, and filled our warehouses with all the sanitizer, hand washes, and all these products. But believe me, this pandemic is different. This time, people are not very afraid. The sales have gone down of particular segment of sanitizers for this year, and there is a huge increase on in the products like Ayurvedic medicines, food supplements, home care products, and personal care products. So there is a huge sale again. People are going back to their normal life, and there is again a dip like the last year on color cosmetics, accessories, perfumes, skincare, lifestyle products. So people are more inclined towards the essential goods, health care items, home care products, and they are getting benefits out of products which will help them to become fit. The mindset has changed. This COVID thing has changed the mindset of the entire consumer. Everyone is thinking about their health now. They are taking out time to exercise. They are taking out time to study about home care remedies. They are taking out time to change their habits of eating. So now the mindset has changed. Earlier we never used to think about all this. So I think because of this mindset will continue for a few more years. Maybe it can be a permanent mindset from the consumer point, that we have to see our health first and then something else. So I think there'll be again a very big rise in these category, particularly like food supplements, medicines, and personal care products. So there will be a big rise in these segments in the future. And also there has been new inventions and new products which we have seen in this pandemic, like face masks. So earlier we never knew about this product. There's something this can happen, that people are gonna buy face mask and they're gonna buy them again. So we had a huge sale last year in the face mask segment, but this year again there's a dip in face mask, because I think now the people are not more afraid, and eventually this year we saw more casualties, saw more deaths. The variant was more harmful, but still everyone, because I think many of them have already gone through the phase of COVID. Like me, I also had COVID last year in the month of August. So after having COVID, then you're a little less scared and little less worried about COVID, because you've gone through the entire thing, and that's why you are a little more less afraid of using sanitizer or mask and blah blah blah. So I think probably after a year or two, the things are going to get normal. But yes, I 100% agree to this, that there's going to be a huge increase in the sale of food supplements, Ayurvedic medicines, alternative medicines, and personal care products, because the mindset is now that you have to be healthy, you have to be safe, and you have to be thinking about your family and your own health. So this is going to happen, I think, in the near future.
Well, thank you for sharing that insight, actually. And so I'll be posing this question to Jaideep also. So what do you think, Jaideep, this almost overnight shift in sale of one particular category at the cost of other categories is going to stay here, or do you think the reversal will happen, and the reversal will also be almost overnight? So what are your views on this?
No, I've taken a cue from Dr. John. Very simply, whatever you will teach the consumer is going to react to that, and whatever is the environment will react basis that. Now, the overnight thing which happened is because of the fear factor, first of all. Once the fear is removed from the consumer mindset, okay, when, let's say, a situation which is after 2 to 3 years where we have prevention also, and we have a cure also for corona, which is likely, let's not even talk about cure, let's talk about prevention. If once that occurs, now who is driving the communication in the market for the consumer? It is the companies like us. As a conglomerate, we get together and there is a particular communication, we actually ride on a wave. It's always like that, right? So as Dr. John said, earlier powder was good, then became the liquid. Now the new advent which is coming is strips for detergents, which you will see very soon coming, because all the other countries have adopted. Now you will see the mind shift there. Why? Because they will give you benefits out of, why it is better than the previous one. So while the reversal will not happen, drop definitely, that I'm like 100% sure it will not drop off, because the fear factor will still remain, and the wearing off of that usage of the supplements, it will wear off for sure, because we are not the market. Agar aap evolution dekho as a society, health is starting to pick up as a part of our lifestyle. But a few years back, we only used to talk about eating samosas in the evening, right? That was the ad which used to come, and we used to, enjoy that. But now it is changing. Why it is changing is because that space has got created for the health. We have become more aware, and obviously there is an influence from the, I would not call the West really, but there is an influence, because now the internet gives you the entire information. So dip to hona hi hai, ye pakki baat hai. But we will find a new level. It will not be as low as which was before the. We will find a new level. But will the nutraceutical become a lifestyle for us, or as a consumer with the middle income group? I have my doubts. We will still resort to our home remedies, which are easy, convenient, less costly for us to depend on. Or aisa nahi hai ki that legacy is being carried on even, to the next generation, which is a slightly younger generation to me. They know turmeric lene se immunity बढ़ती है, वो लेंगे turmeric. Turmeric कहाँ available है? Readily available है, right? So we have different forms of turmeric, for example. अब now moringa is also coming out, ashwagandha is also coming out, जो कि सुना भी नहीं था आज से कुछ साल पहले, अब सब निकल रहा है बाहर. Point is that the customer needs regular education. It needs motivation factor. What is the motivation to do a particular expenditure? Why should I do it? That motivation, either it is influenced by other person. Now a large category of the people are influenced. If you see the data of purchase behavior, that is largely influenced. Under it's very less percentage. So we would see the dip happening in the few years to come, but it will not be sudden for sure, because COVID is not going to go away. और अगर जाएगा भी तो ऐसे नहीं है कि आज वो और 2 महीने बाद nutraceutical is out of picture. People will still continue to say करते हैं थोड़ा और, let's see, पूरा जाने दो, एक बार देखने दो पूरी information क्या आ रही है. Then they will see कि जरूरत है लेने की कि नहीं. Now why जरूरत? Because ध्यान तो हट गया fear से. Now they are busy with their other life. So what will that happen? तो other life में जो important होगा, that will take the front seat and this will go behind. ये natural behavior है. So in my opinion, the dip will come, but it will be gradual, but we will find a new. So if you were to say a graph vis-a-vis what we were before the COVID in terms of nutraceutical and what will be after, it will definitely be an increase. No doubts about it. Kitna percent? I can't really comment, but it would be a significant number.
Right. Thank you so much, Jaideep, for that wonderful response. So, since we are paucity of time, so I will quickly. This question was actually meant for the people from the industry here. But yes, since Dr. John and Vinod is here, and they are also consumers as well, so I would quickly ask them for a short comment if they have any on this particular question. So, the product categories that saw a drastic, almost overnight increase in sales. Do you think, sir, it's going to stay, or as drastic was the rise, as drastic will be the downfall as well? So I would first ask Johnson for his comments on this. Sir, a very quick comment from you.
So as sentiments goes, when any growth goes without a base, it will fall. So that is why we talk about sustainable growth. This growth is not sustainable. That has happened because of a fear factor. When the fear factor is removed, or we feel that I'm okay, I'm okay with go without washing. For example, as a consumer, as you rightly said, first lockdown I used to buy 5 sanitizers, but this lockdown I bought only 1 sanitizer. So my usage of sanitizer has come down as a single customer. So like that, it will happen. Yes, as earlier speaker Jaideep said, no, it will not go zero, but it will there. The curve will be a little bit higher than the earlier curve which was there.
Right. Thank you so much. And I would ask the same question quickly to Vinodji also for his comment. Sir, as a consumer, what do you think, sir?
Going to be from 6:30 to 8:30. I felt a little inconvenience because 7:30 is now my dinner time. And this is what I learned during the pandemic. And not only me, I see a lot of friends of mine who have their dinner between 7 and 8, which was never used to be. I would have my dinner around 9 o'clock. Now, this learning which is coming to me, it has not been taught to me by any of the product companies or any of the marketing experts. This has been taught, this learning has come to me from a situation which was forced on me suddenly, all of a sudden, and then which I realized that this is important for health. And if I take it myself as a representative of the consumer, this education which is come to consumer, not from a marketing company or not from any producer, which has come from a different situation, it will remain for quite some time to be them. Now, if we feel that we can go back to the pre-pandemic condition, we are mistaken. We can never go back to pre-pandemic condition. Now, to speak of whether suddenly we will go back or it will be gradual go back. We can never go back to the situation. But how long, how high will be the curve, how slow will be the curve, will depend on so many other external factors. One important factor in this is that how the producers and the marketing channels de-educate the consumer. I don't know how long I will continue to have my dinner at 7:30. After the pandemic is gone, maybe again I have started going out, maybe I'll get attending a dinner, but when? We do not know. So this has to be gradual coming at. We'll have to find a new normal. We were pre-19, we were in a normal. Today, what situation we are, it's not a normal situation. We can't call it a new normal. It's an abnormal situation. But post this situation is gone, we will have to find a new normal, and the normal should take a little more time. And how much de-education or re-education the marketing experts and the producers can do, it will also decide this time taken for this new normal to come.
Great to know, sir. And I think already if you look at some sentences have actually become a part of our new normal. So things like, am I audible? Your camera is not working. Sir, kindly join again. So these things have already become a part of new normal, and these are going to stay here for a very long time, I believe. So moving on. So this question I'm going to ask primarily to Dr. John and Vinodji here, and I'll then quickly come to Satyanji and Jaideep for their quick comments. So we'll start with Dr. John this time. Sir, it's not that this is for the first time that the country is going through a recession. So we have seen a recession in 2008 as well, the subprime recession. However, even during that previous slowdown or during any of the previous slowdowns, we were never really concerned as an economy about the fall in consumer spending. So how is this crisis different from the previous crisis that our country has actually gone through? So your quick comments on this, Dr. John.
See, in the earlier recession, it was purely economic recession. In that recession also, as India, we stood strong because our domestic savings are very good, and our household savings are very good. Our mother and granny are saving very good. So whenever there is a need, you can lean back and you can take the money. And we even the whole world has looked at us like a gold, because the whole world was crying. We stood very strong in the recession. But in this recession, what was something which was very tricky? This is money with life. That is a very bad combination. I'm losing my income, I'm losing my life. My expense, which I'm saved it for my future, I'm doing it for my medical expenses, which was not even I dreamt it. Even in India, we have only 20% max is the economy who are taken a medical insurance. If the economy is not taken a medical insurance, I immediately am going to a private hospital and I'm asked to pay 20,000 per day. My savings are drained up. And you see, there is a lot of domestic works has gone out. You see the migrant employees are going back to their own natives. When they go back, you understand that how many job losses have happened. So now this economy has fallen along with the livelihood and the people's sentiments. Now people are having fear sentiments. Once the fear sentiments as re-educated, we say that come on, we can do back, we can save. See, this is a very complex situation, as Vinod has said. No, we have never have any data earlier. We never seen these situations. We don't know how this economy is going to react. All our researchers were, before pandemic, we were doing research, how to capture the mind, what part of mind is induced when they see a product, what color they are going to see. That was a totally different kind of research we are doing. Now we have to read back, we call back, and we have to go back to the basic researches which we are doing in 80s and 90s, how a customer was educated, when was educated, what are the parameters has to be taken. So that is a different scenario of what we are seeing now. Now, this pandemic or this recession has tied our life, whether we are going to live and earn or you earn to die. So that is when we are taken lockdown, this is the biggest debate all over the India we are having. Every TV channel was running this debate, whether to go for a lockdown or not go for a lockdown, whether life is important, economy is important. As a country, we need both. But one thing is very strong in India, our demographic variables are very strong as a middle income group and middle age population. It is very strong, so that we will come back of this recession also very strongly. Maybe it may take little more time than earlier recession, but we will come back, because now governments are supporting the people by giving some kind of food grains free, and money they are giving directly to the people's hand, so that economy will rebound and things will come to a normal. Maybe it will take little bit time because data is not with us, so we cannot predict on that. If gut feeling goes, maybe 1 or 2 years it will be normal. It all depends on our herd immunity and how fast we are going to do the vaccination program.
Right, sir. So I'm going to ask this same question to Vinodji as well. Sir, we have seen already one recession in 2008, but we were never really concerned about consumer spending, and we were never, organizing such discussions or webinars on this aspect of consumerism, or how to basically, pull consumer out of their homes and get him to the market to spend. So, but what do you think, sir? This time, what has changed, which was not there in the earlier recession, sir?
Repeat what to myself, that this is nothing like what we have seen earlier. Not to speak of 2000 recession or anything else. This is a totally different situation, which is uncomparable to any other situation. And the very important thing is, we should keep one factor in mind. Our economy is different from the economies what we generally study for our marketing purposes, which is about based on the Western economies, America and all. Those are the spending economies. Our economy is we earn first and then we spend the money after keeping aside some savings for that. I fully agree with Dr. John when he says that we could overcome 2008 recession because we have got a very strong tendency to keep the domestic saving and personal savings, which is not there elsewhere. They felt. Now in this pandemic situation, other economies, the governments were able to pump a lot of liquidity into the economy, and thereby they could keep the consumer spending alive. In India also, lots of liquidity has been pumped. This has been sustained. Large segment of society is sustained because of the government support by way of food grains or way of some other methods. And whatever we are seeing, this very high growth in gold prices or high growth in the share market, basic reason to my mind is only the government spending on this. And gradually this will peter out. Then what will the consumer do? This pandemic situation, the consumer has spent their almost entire saving. They have totally exhausted. Now when I have no saving left with me, there are people I have seen their lakhs of rupees, crores of rupees they spent on their own treatment. People who have not died, that story is different. The people who have suffered, one side is loss of income, but by not having livelihood or not having jobs to the living ideal. Second side is the amount they have spent, money they spend on the treatment of the people. The post-COVID after effects also is quite serious. So any consumer, Indian consumer more so, will first try to build up his war chest again. So first tendency will be to rebuild the savings which has been exhausted till now because of the different situation. and that will certainly going to affect his consumer spending. We'll have to take care of this, and perhaps the whatever essential, semi-essential things will remain, but certainly the things which can be disposed of, the lifestyle product, what we call, will continue to be suffering for quite some time till this war chest is rebuilt by the average consumer, and then he comes back, he has surplus to spend on, splurge upon. This is what's my appeal.
Right, sir. So I think what this recession, I mean, if I give a very wide analogy to it, so if we consider patients as consumers to the hospital sector, so that seems to be, healthcare seems to be the only sector which has been able to register an increase in the number of consumers coming to it. If we are able to accept that wild analogy. So I'm going to just quickly ask first Jaideep ji for his comments on this. Sir, a very short comment from you. We have a paucity of time.
So I think the difference between the two was, while not largely applicable to India, however, from an industry scenario, the 2008 crisis led to first the demand hit, then the supply. In this particularly, the supply got hit first and then the demand. And it went so drastic, the demand aspect of it, while the supply side can always be, barring the pharma sector, the supply side is a factor of, the economy opening up for the consumer. But however, I agree to Vinodji and Dr. John, is that the consumerism today is all about saving and survival. It is all about that. Even for a large income group today, and there is a study which is there done by ENY, which is saying a large portion of the economy. So you are now have the propensity to save more than what they were saving earlier. So even if you see the HNI category, the HNI category is still not doing investment in properties or real estate, but they're actually they're being bullish. And there is a large liquidity flow which is happening in the stock market or the bullion trade, largely for that reason, which is happening. So the propensity to save and invest is now actually there across all strata of the people that we have. So survival, saving money, and only essential items. And as Vinodji said, it will take a little time for them to come out of this factor. They have to manage their survival once they start accumulating, and then we will talk about lifestyle product. You're absolutely right. That's going to happen.
Yes. So moving on to Satyan ji, sir, your quick comments on that issue.
I think 2008 recession was a slow burn. It never happened overnight. It took few years to happen in the entire world, not largely affecting India, but this time it has actually affected India, because here we are majority of the population is hand to mouth, and we lost almost 40 million jobs according to MRD report, majorly in unorganized sector. So there are many people, especially in hospitality, airlines, and people who are into travel related sectors. So majority of them have lost their jobs, and even who are having jobs are also being paid only 20-25% or 50% of their salaries. So largely the mindset is that we have to save money. We have to save money for insurances. We have to save money for hospitalization. We have to save money for essential goods. I remember in the beginning, when this pandemic happened, when the first lockdown happened last year, there was a stress buying of essential goods, and everyone started storing them in their house. That probably what will happen, we're not going to get the chapati, rice, dal, ghee, and everyone started storing 2 months stock in the houses. So that was the scare which everyone had in their mind, that what will happen because of the overpopulation we have in the country. So I think this recession which has come over, it will, the moment we get vaccinated and there's a good message from the government side, and the COVID period, the pandemic goes away, I think we're again going to come back. And I second to Mr. Vinodji that this Chinese sentiments which has come over in the entire world, this is going to really help India to grow more, and this is going to really help India to come up with large number of investments back to India than to China.
Right. Thank you so much, Satyanji. So, as I understand from the detailed presentations, given by our panelists here, so largely the difference between the 2008 recession and this recession is that there was no reason keeping people locked in their homes during the earlier recession. So this appears to be the biggest distinguishing factor between these two recessions, and which has actually led to a more devastating impact on the economy. So let's just move on quickly to our last question before we bring this session to an end. So there is a general fear in the industry that in the post-COVID world, big businesses will become bigger and small businesses will eventually get destroyed or will get merged with the big entities. So how far do you agree or disagree with this statement? So this time we'll start with Jaideep ji for his comment. So Jaideep ji, what do you feel? This is going to happen or no?
It will be a typical Sinex curve, which is going to happen. Reason being that all the small businesses are a factor of liquidity, how much liquidity they have to sustain at this point of time. If they have the liquidity and they are well managed and saved, then they will continue to exist. And it is a very good time for the big companies to actually buy these companies. So you are going to also see a large number of collaborations or in terms of buyouts going to happen. There will be a strong emergence of startups in India at this moment, at this point of time, because there's a large talent which is, people are now changing their priorities, and there's a lot of, we have today only, I think in the news came with a lot of CEOs wanting to start, do a startup businesses. Probably it is also a mind shift in terms of, whom I'm working, what I'm working, how long I'm working for, and what is my value creation. So a lot of changes are happening even at a psychological level for people to actually, what are they doing? And I am one of the few people who are also doing the same. Is that what am I adding to the value to the society here, and what is it that I want to really do? Because we do not know tomorrow what's going to happen, because the life has not chosen that it will be amongst the less privileged or the more privileged. So my opinion is that you would see a radical shift. There would be buyouts. There would be burnouts for a lot of companies, but well-managed companies with the fundamentals right in place will continue to exist. Collaborations are going to happen, and a very large amount of startups you are going to see. We have probably about 55 unicorns till now. Probably my guess is that in the next 1.5 years, we will have another 55 in the making. And that's what is exactly people eyeing for. That is exactly what the FDI is looking at, is to invest in these companies, largely in the tech sector, and India is the hub for it. So you are going to see three different things. Smaller companies merging and sell off, bigger companies becoming bigger, but a new genre of people and businesses coming out in India. Education is the place to watch out for.
Right, Jaideep ji, good to know about this optimistic scenario that you have just presented before all of us. So let me just quickly raise this question to Satyan ji as well. Satyan ji, what are your views? Do you think big businesses are going to gobble up the small ones, or small ones are going to make their own entity, or they are going to create their own entity in the industry?
See, there is a total mindset shift. Eventually, about 82% of the small businesses have been affected in this pandemic. All the shopkeepers, all the restaurant owners, all the people who are in the market, they have been largely affected from this. But with little digitalization, with the help of technology, they can revive easily. For example, I'll give you example of one of vegetable seller near my house. So today he has a Paytm. You just have to order him on your phone, your sabji, and you can transfer your money through Paytm, and he will deliver the goods at your doorstep. Earlier, that never used to happen. There were departmental stores or big sabji vendors who used to do that. Now, a small scale sabji vendor is also trying to use technology to deliver better services. So, I think all these small scale business owners, see, according to Mr. Arun Singh, the rate of recovery of India's commercial enterprises and thereby the economy will be determined by the strength of recovery of the small enterprises. So we have to understand the small enterprises has to come back. It cannot happen that only the major players can only lead the market and the small enterprise will close on and everyone will be working for the major enterprises. This cannot happen in India. And India is a democratic country and everyone has a right to explore and open up businesses. So this will never end. This will happen. The moment the pandemic goes away, the moment the things are normal, everyone is gonna. I think it's gonna be a revenge business attitude which is gonna come back to the Indian market. That I'm gonna work harder. I'm gonna struggle harder and come up with my own business opportunity. So I think the moment the pandemic goes away, again the small sectors, business sectors will again start growing up. Things will be normal, and it will be like hand to hand. Both the things will happen. But I second to Mr. Jaideep that yes, they are the middle segments who are in the middle of the scenario. They might either close up or they might have merged with the bigger groups because they have to sustain. They have employees with them. A small shopkeeper can shut down the shop and go home and rest for probably 2 months. But a good business owner cannot do that. He has to struggle. He has to maintain all the salaries and the rents and everything. He cannot just shut down the business because he has no other opportunity. So I think the mergers will happen, but the small scale business will again come back the moment the pandemic goes away.
Right. So the MSME story is not over yet, or at least this is what our representatives from the industry has to say. So let me just quickly go to Dr. John here. So Dr. John, what are your views on this? On one hand, we are worried what is going to happen to the industry, and on the other hand, we see record FDIs are coming into India, but that is again largely going to the big ones. So do you think this record FDI going to the big ones is like giving them more ammo? Using which they will, attack faster on the smaller ones and try to acquire them or merge them with themselves. What do you think, sir? What are your views on this?
Actually, before pandemic, also we are moving towards that only. When the investment of Reliance, investment of Tata, investment of Big Bazaar is coming in. Actually, we are moving towards that only. Smaller players in these sectors are not able to withstand the competition because if you see that hypermarkets are selling less than MRP, where my nearby shop cannot do that. But this pandemic, because I'm closely working on the Kirana stores and their sentiments, but what happened? This pandemic has re-established or reassured the relationship between the Kirana store and their customers. Because where Kirana store can give you 1 month credit, where my hypermarket or online market won't give me the credit. Indian economy is still, especially in the grocery sector, 90% it is still with unorganized Kirana stores. So those sectors will survive. As Jaideep sir and Satyan has said, the industries who are in the middle, whether they are not small, they are not big, who are in the middle, who are not able to adopt the technology, who cannot migrate to the technology savvy companies, they will have a big problem. So whether we like it or not, migrations of big companies will eat up the small companies. What happened when Coke came to India? All our local cool drinks companies were swallowed up. That will happen. That is a nature phenomena which will be happening. If you want to side away from that phenomena, you have to create your own startup business, or you create a separate technology oriented business. You show the difference on your product, sustain in the market. Again, we should appreciate government in this area. Government is giving loan subsidies and mudra loan. They are trying to liquidate the market as much as possible to make sure that the small businesses are not dying. But still, it is not in the amount of Western countries doing, because Western country economy is different, population is different, Indian economy is different, Indian population is different. So within the limitations, what government can sustain the small businesses, they are trying to the maximum to sustain the small business. Again, only the environmental factors can answer this question, whether the small business are going to sustain or they are going to be lose the battle with the big companies.
Right, sir. So finally, moving to Vinodji. So from what our previous panelists have just discussed, so it appears that the second M in MSME seems to be in trouble. The The micro ones will survive, the small ones will survive, the medium one seems to be running into trouble. This is at least what our other panels have suggested. So, Vinodji, as a macro observer of the economy, what are your views on this? Do you think that the small entities or the medium entities, to be precise, are going to maintain their separate identity, or do you think they will eventually will have no other option but to merge with the big ones? Sir.
I agree with all the three panelists who have so far said. Mr. Jaideep saying that a lot of new startups will come up. The number of CEOs have been feeling uncomfortable with the management. They were working as a paid job, and they want to venture out as entrepreneurs, as a upstart. I fully agree with it, because I have personally known a few of them, and everybody feels that in this situation, that rather than working for somebody else or some other ownership, it's better to be an entrepreneur and become a starter. So we will see a big splurge or big jump in the numbers of the startups coming up in the market. Number one. Number two, talking about the small enterprises. The small enterprises have liquidity because of the government support and also their own thing. Secondly, small enterprises in our country have got lot of agility. So they are able to quickly adapt to the new situation. Like what Mr. Dr. John said till now, explained to me, that the Kirana situation, and say same is with the other manufacturing sectors also. And with their agility and liquidity both available to them, they will be able to survive, they will be able to do well. Now that leaves the middle sector here. The middle sector is a sector which neither has this agility, nor they have this liquidity, nor they have strength to take up on the large sector or something. And the situation which we were seeing earlier, mostly in the retailing and the distribution sector, where the large entrepreneurs coming up, gobbling up the smaller fishes, which will perhaps, which was just stopped during the pandemic, will again revive, and that will be again continuing. Now I see a very big role for the government in this area. If the government can come up with some scheme, some program, or some very big support to this medium level enterprises to sustain for a period of time, maybe very shortly, maybe 3 years, if they can be assisted externally or they can be supported, they will come up with their own, and they again will be able to stand on their legs and compete with the others. That is very important thing. I don't know whether anybody I can approach this words can go to the, they must be having something, they must be having, but this is a very important sector which needs a support from the government side so that they can survive post-pandemic era.
Right, sir. So, yes, as I discussed earlier, the consensus that appears to have emerged from the responses by the panelists is that while the micro ones and the small ones are going to have an identity of their own, the medium enterprises, the medium scale enterprises will be left with an option to either merge themselves with the big entities or probably try to acquire the micro ones and the smaller ones so that they become a big entity by themselves. So with this, let's move on to the last question of our session, after which we'll bring this session to an end. So there is a saying, a philosophical saying that just every dark cloud has a silver lining. So in your opinion, or rather in the opinion of our panelists, what are the good things that the pandemic has offered, which can have a positive impact in the post-COVID world? So this time we'll start with Satyanji first. Satyanji, your views on this? Satyanji, you're muted actually. You have to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Sorry for that. I think relations have become more steady and better, because earlier I used to reach home very late because of the business, and could not spend time with my family, my kids, my parents. And now I've been spending a lot of time with them from last 1.5 years, and even with my friends. So I think we have really valued relationships in this. So that's a very big advantage. I think we have seen all over the globe. And second, I would say there are major practices in the lifestyle for better hygiene and for fitness. That has also, we have seen that everyone is wants to be fit and wants to keep himself very you know, hygienically correct. And also, I think one more major factor, if I talk about business, that cost effectiveness. Earlier, we used to see that companies are building big offices, and large number of people are being employed. But now, I think the work from home culture is one thing which is getting adapted by all the major companies pan India. I think it is they are shifting the employees back to home and working from home culture developing in the organization, which is a drastic decision, and this will reduce the cost of the company, the operational costs, and also ease of doing business, because there's a rapid growth in the use of technology. Everyone is using technology these days. Even small scale business man is also using technology, coming up with applications and selling his goods to Amazon or Flipkart or other websites. So everyone is shifting to technology. That is a very big thing which has happened in this entire pandemic. So I think there are many good things which has happened also, which has been a learning thing for us. We actually forgot many things, and especially since we are an Ayurvedic company and we deal in Ayurvedic medicines, so people actually forgot about the Ayurvedic products and the pathy which India gave to the society, and now they are realizing, yes, that this pathy can help us to at least prevent such kind of viruses if we use these products regularly. So this has been a very drastic mindset change in the entire country. So I think there has been good things which has happened, and particularly the relationships have gone very strong between the families. So that is a major thing.
Thanks, Satyaji. And since you are already there on the screen with us, so any final concluding remarks from your side on the topic?
So I think we should all remain positive. This has come up and this will end. There is always a beautiful world, which is ahead coming up, and no doubt the people who have suffered, whose lives have gone, the loved ones have gone away. So that is a tragedy which has happened for the families, and I hope everyone should stay fit and fine, and it should not happen. But there's always a beautiful world ahead, and we have to all think positive. We have to we have to fight back. We have to come out of it, out of this pandemic, and eventually we have to lead a normal life again. And with few lessons to learn, obviously, a few lessons to learn, and not to play with the nature much. Love the nature, love yourself, and love your loved ones, I think.
Thank you so much, Satyaji, for those kind words. And I would now request Vinodji. Vinodji, sir, you have been a part of bureaucracy for a long time, and I think bureaucrats are told to present every crisis as an opportunity before the public. So, sir, what silver lining do you see in this pandemic for all of us?
Oh, there are many. Like what Satyaji has told till now. People have become more health conscious. They will consume more healthy product. They will develop more healthy habits, which were a casualty earlier. Secondly, familial relations have been re-strengthened. People have realized the value of the family relationship. I will add one more thing: the spirituality. The people have got a lot more faith in the spirituality and the religion again, which has been revived. This is one more silver lining. Then, like they say, work from home. It's a big impact. It's going to take place. Like they say in Hindi, that "sher ke muh khoon lag gaya hai." So now people and companies have realized that what benefit it has got to work from home. I remember way back in 2007, I had attended some sort of a training program in USA, where the topic given to me for the work paper was work from home. How do you justify that? So it was some sort of a shock for me. That how can somebody work from home, and what could be benefit? Now that everybody has seen it, and it's going to be a part of the new normal. This will be a lot of impact it will have on many sectors like transport, cabbies, canteens, products which are sold to the people. So this is going to be reducing cost of the company so much, and this will have very deep. And then again, the most important thing I should say is that a lot of people have learned jhadu pocha. A lot of people have learned jhadu pocha. They have realized the importance and necessity of the working by their own hands, the dignity of labor that has also stepped in. So these are all there could be many more. I see that every bad thing learns you the severity, the severity of the bad situation, disaster will have more learning experience. And I have not seen at least in my life, any situation which has given so much of learning in such a short time to the people, including myself.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. And I absolutely second you on that. The pandemic has made all of us realize that one of the greatest inventions that mankind has ever seen is that revolving mop, which you can just clean by pushing it down after doing the pocha in your place. So that is the biggest invention, actually, if you ask me, the mankind has ever given to us. So moving on to Jaideep, what are your final comments and, of course, your response to that?
Balaji has said, this is one of the key aspects where, as partners, we have understood each other's responsibility and the severity of the job with what we do. So if the better half is actually managing home and I am managing office, then we have understood each other's role very, very effectively. Seconding Satyan's point, we have started appreciating small things in life, whether it is being together, whether it is spending time, with your child. I think that this pandemic will lead to a huge paradigm shift in the way we live our lives from all age groups, from the old people to even children nowadays. When they realize they are sitting at home, while today they are not in that age to realize what is work from home and what is going to school, but definitely it has come in their notice what parents are doing, how much struggle do they do, that small things are actually getting imbibed in them. That is going to reshape their future as they will go ahead, hopefully for the better. Appreciate small things, because we never gave time to smaller things in our life. We were always in that rat race of making it big. But now it is a setback, and the silver lining is that we appreciate our lives for whatever is left and whatever is there and whatever we have. So the way life is being looked at is totally different, and I hope that the silver lining can become a gold lining if we actually start implementing some of the learnings that we have had and do not forget the essence of the life value after the pandemic gets over, because human mind has the tendency to forget very easily. So I would only say that as ourselves, we should document this time somewhere in a journal and give to people who, for future generations to come. And this is what was reality also. We are the first ones to see. Last was 1980. Now it has come after 100 years. We would appreciate life better than anybody else, is what I feel. So from a business perspective or from a life perspective, and whatever changes we will bring in our life will ultimately have a business impact as well as on the economy impact. India definitely has a good future, because this gives us the opportunity and stand out in many ways in other parts of the world. We are looked at as a strong economy, while we may have slips in between, but we came out, we revived ourselves very, very strongly. We have come out as a very, very strong community, which can actually endeavor such kind of a pain and bounce back. And we do not just have the capability to bounce back for ourselves, we have the ability to actually cater to the entire world. That is the kind of resources and the mind and the talent that we have. And that it is for the time now, how the policies and how we are being perceived and what are the different opportunities we get and how we execute it. I think this is a golden opportunity to come out as a very strong economy and a superpower too, as a country. It has started that path, is what I feel.
Right, Jaideep ji. And finally, to Dr. John. Dr. John, sir, you are involved into imparting management education, and a key component of that is case studies. So, 30 years from now, the students at that time, they will be given case studies that once there was a pandemic in India, and so what do you think at that time? What positivities students are going to write in those case studies that pandemic offered to India?
The first advantage, what is helping us, we have strengthened our medical infrastructure. though with the pandemic is so bad. But one thing which we have forgotten for some time, no, we have gone back and we have strengthened our medical infrastructure. That is one very strong element. We can proud of ourselves. So we can even ready to face the next pandemic or next wave which is going to come us. So that is a silver line which I see very bright. The second thing is education, and the whole world would have looked at us how this country called India is going to manage this pandemic in the sector of education. But very quickly we responded. We introduced a blended education. We introduced the online education. Every institution, right from the elementary school to the university, they equipped themselves immediately to the digital mode, and they started to impart the education without any break. That was another tremendous thing. Knowingly, unknowingly, we were from saving economy, we have started moving towards a spending economy. Introduction of credit cards, introduction of personal loans, we were started spending. We are forgotten our basics of our economy. But thanks to the pandemic, again, this help us to come back to as a saving economy. We will start discipline our spending behavior. We will think whether it's a impulse buying or necessary buying. So those things are very positive notes. We should thank this pandemic to teach us all these things. Only one thing which negatively, which I see as a psychiatrist, is that, as Jaideep has said, now the children are watching us sitting in home, how we are working. One way, yes, it educates your child how what is a work. But second thing, they are making your child more mature, very engaged. They'll try to adopt the knowledge which we are doing in the home, very engaged. So what happens, no, the transaction analysis conflict will start coming in the family maybe little later. If when you try to tell some comments to the child, no, the child will say, no, other day you did like that, no, I was over here. See, that kind of conflicts will come. So the family should be ready to face that also. They should have prepared to see. Other than that, yes, we are having a good time. We are going to face a good challenge. As Vinod has said, no, the anti-China sentiment has helping India to a greater thing. The post earlier, the whole global supply chain was depending on China. Now that is slowly shifting towards India. Again, economic side also we having a great sign of coming back in the supply chain area. And yes, again, Indian government has taken bold steps in the agriculture sector, agriculture marketing. So all these things, reforms jointly put together, will give us a bright future. And as all the panelists said, that we should record our experience, we should write our cases, so that we can give it to the children in the future. They can learn from our experience what can be done, what should not be done. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. John. And with this, we have come to an end for today's session. And to conclude it from my side, I think there are three main, participants in the whole consumer chain. So one is, of course, the government. The second, the industry, and third is the consumer. Unfortunately, the government wasn't taking consumer seriously. Consumer is the backbone of the economy, if you look at it that way. The industry also was somewhat not taking the consumer, serious enough, and then consumer himself was not taking himself serious enough or appreciating his role towards the development of the nation's economy. So finally, it's good to see that all the three components are now realizing their role in the development of the nation. The government has already notified the Consumer Protection Act 2019. After nearly 3.5 decades, they have come up with a path-breaking act, a path-breaking law, which has incorporated all modern provisions which you find in the similar acts what we have in USA or developed economies like Korea and Singapore. Industry, it took a crisis like COVID for the industry to realize the importance of consumers, and it's good to see that the industry has geared itself up to meet the consumer expectations in the post-COVID world. And finally, the consumer has become aware. The consumer is now a more responsible consumer, and let's just hope all these three components will work in tandem in future to create a perfect economy. So with this, we come to an end to this session, and now I would like to invite Mr. K. Chandrasekhar, the Treasurer of Hyderabad Management Association. Mr. Chandrasekhar, you are mute. You have to unmute yourself, sir.
Now?
Yes, you are audible.
Hello, good evening. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. In fact, it's one of the very interesting topic when we took up consumerism in post-COVID. Mainly, I should thank Chetan Bharadwaj for setting the context. Is it promotion and protection of consumer interests or continual increase in the consumption? I mean, that was one of the context set very well by Mr. Bharadwaj. And we have heard to the speakers, Friday speak from different businesses, they came out with different perspectives. And it is one of the opportunity for anyone not to miss this kind of a panel discussion. That's what I feel. And in fact, when Vinod Agarwalji, when he's talking about, he talked about something new, revenge shopping. I mean, so in Indian context, will it really work? Because Indians are basically a bit conservative, unlike the Western countries. But it's a good learning experience is what he suggested. And frankly, John, Professor VJIM, and that coming out very clear is, it should be more of a value product rather than a brand, he feels that. And it's all driven by nature, is educating the whole thing. And Jaideep ji said, websites, we should give a live experience. It should be look like a mall, should be like a super bazaar. We should be able to really pick up and take it. And etiquette, a training of both selling as well as this one, and method of engaging people. And Satyan Bhatia, of course, he said in more of focusing more on a website adoption, and it should be more of a video content is more important. A distribution network channel is a strategy, and it will be there. Pandemic will be there maybe 1 or 2 years, 2-3 years. And this is what I mean. Why? I mean, rest of things are very we can come to know, but some of the things what I picked up, which are very new, which need to understand by each and every one. And I really thank Vinod ji, thank Franklin John ji, Jaideep ji, and Satyan Bhatia for taking out their time and spending time with this IDSA and HMA. And I really thank the Vice Chairperson Rini Sanyalji and Rajat Banerjee ji, Vice Chairman, and Kavita Rajesh, HMA President, and Krishna Prasad, Joint Secretary, and the technical team who really could make it very well, and one of the best sessions. And IDSA, congratulating IDSA and completion of Silver Jubilee, that is a 25 years. It's a landmark. They have, crossed one more milestone. And HMA would like continue to have this kind of association and partnership concluded with IDSA, and looking forward to their support. And we're always, with all of you, whatever you feel like, we definitely will do it. And once again, thank everybody who has participated, and mainly the speakers who come out with their perspective. One of the excellent and the best sessions I have ever seen. Thanks a lot. Thanks everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chandrasekhar ji, for those kind words. And since this is, as I mentioned in the beginning, this is the last session of our IDSA HMA series, so we already have still have Kavita Rajesh ji with us and Mr. Shankara Venkata Prasad with us. So I'll quickly add them to the screen for any concluding remarks that they may have had.
I would thank IDSA for a long-standing association with them, and it's almost about 3 to 4 years that I know them. And Chetan has been instrumental in pulling all of us together, and we still look for your long-standing support with HMA and ELIP also. So I thank all the panel members, distinguished Vinod Kumarji, who has given his time, and Satyan Bhatia ji and Jaideep ji, and our Franklin John and Professor. Really, it was good insights, being a very good topic today. Consumerism in post-COVID was the need of the day, which we had to get to hear from the eminent panel. And we know how the paradigm shift is happening in buying patterns of today's scenario. As Sir rightly said, it was very interesting session. And I also thank our Joint Secretary, Shankar Krishna Prasad Garu and Chandrasekhar Garu, to be with us. And Abhishek, for all the backend support, and Chetan for all the backend, and Geeta, our CEO from HMA, who is constantly in touch with Chetan to make it happen and getting all of us under one umbrella. Thank you, sir. We look forward for continuous support from all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a nice get together today. It was more than a panel discussion. It's more of an informal discussion, I find. IDSA, HMA have a great bonding. And I am actually myself a network marketer before I got into the industry. So that's in my blood too, some percentage I need it. So thanks a lot for all of you, and nice to stay connected with you. We will continue to have a relationship. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you so much. So we are bringing this session to an end, and let's hope to start a new series of sessions on the pertinent topics.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chatanji, once again.
Thank you, sir.
Wishing you